currently with Megan. We're here in Fort Lauderdale's iconic Pier 66, right on the beautiful waterway. And it's also the venue of the 3rd annual Art of Fort Lauderdale, or also known as the Art Fair on the Water. And who better to sit down with than co-founder Andrew Martineau. We're gonna sit down and talk about all the behind the scenes and why he felt there was a need to have an incredible event, an art fair on the water. So let's go and let's learn more. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us on this magical Saturday afternoon in Fort Lauderdale.
My pleasure.
And before I get started, nobody can rock a mustache like you.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that.
So, share with our viewers what they're going to expect during this Art Fair on the Water 4-day celebration.
Sure. So Art Fort Lauderdale is this 4-day art fair that takes place in luxury waterfront homes on the Intracoastal. People get there by water taxi, and each home is going to have work from artists both locally and internationally that's going to feature a bunch of different styles and themes. So essentially people park here at Pier 66 and they come over to the Pelican Landing restaurant, which is our boarding location. And then, that's right, it's right here. And depending on the departure, the water taxi comes and takes them on that journey, you know, from home to home.
And does it vary each day, or?
So there is an opening preview that we have, a private opening preview on Wednesday, that's from 11 to 5. And then on Thursday, it's from noon to 6. Okay. And then Friday and Saturday from noon to 8, and Sunday from noon to 6.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, and it was very different a couple years ago. That's actually what drew me to move out of the city. And I've attended a lot of Art Basel events, and there was something, I think we ran into each other last year, and you told me about this concept, and I thought, wow, incorporating our gorgeous real estate with art on the water, being the Venice of America, it was like brilliant. So how did you come up with this concept? Where did this come from?
So I mean, I have been in South Florida for about 23 years and around at the beginning of Basel. And you know, when Basel started, they were in shipping containers on the beach. It was a lot more casual, a lot more relaxed than it is right now.
Shipping containers?
Yeah, it was a number of shipping containers on the beach. And that's actually used to be, it was the first location for Ultra. Same location, the same location was Art Basel. This was, you know, 16, 17 years ago. And certainly saw the development of Wynwood, and from when Wynwood started off and how they've grown. So I really saw, like, you know, just the arts and how the arts have grown in Miami. And I moved up to Fort Lauderdale probably about 12 years ago, and you know, saw obviously a ton of potential here. Obviously Fat Village was growing, there were things happening there. Was working with the first guys that started the Art Walk there. We had started Art Walk at Los Olas at the same time. But you know, things were moving a whole lot slower here in Fort Lauderdale than maybe I would like to. And you know, Basel is one of those things over the years has gotten crazier and crazier and crazier and busier and busier and busier. So traffic's crazy, parking's crazy. Yes. And you know, Miami's got so many things to do that time, and if you're into the arts, I mean, you kind of have to go. There's not really much of a choice. So, you know, you got to navigate all the traffic and all those things. So I'd much rather, you know, being in this area, stay here and have a really cool event to go to. So we decided to create an art fair that would be very, very hard to compare to Basel. So the thing is, if we did something in the convention center under a tent, they'll say, well, you know, it's not like Basel, it's not as good as Basel. Or, you know, so we decided to create something that highlighted the assets of the city and use the Intracoastal as a backdrop, which would be kind of like super unique. You know, you can't really compare it to anything else. So it kind of gives us as a city and people that are residents here, like something that we can own, you know, from an art standpoint.
And was this a long process in the making, or were you sitting down and it just came to you? Like,
no, I've been interested in doing something. What it looked like, I wasn't too sure. My partner, Evan Snow, we met at a TEDx conference simulcast at the Tower Club. And, you know, everybody kind of goes around and says what they're into. And he wanted to do this thing called Choose 954, which is a social movement that he created. And, you know, so we started talking a little bit about it. We found that we had a lot of like synergies with passions. And so I said, well, let's do Choose 954. So we both launched Choose 954, which he's kind of like runs and takes control of. And we started talking about, well, how about we have like some sort of like major art fair in Fort Lauderdale? Because when you start looking at Miami and Palm Beach, which are like kind of in the north and south,
Yes.
Miami's got probably about 50 satellite art fairs going on during Art Week, and Basel is about 16 years old, and Art Miami is about 30 years old. Palm Beach has Art Palm Beach, is about 21 years old, and they have 2 other satellite fairs. So for whatever reason, Broward was completely skipped over from a major 4-day art fair. And if you think about us wanting to catch up or compete, you know, you're looking at like a 30-year head start in Miami and a 20-year head start in Palm Beach. So we figured that, you know, we needed to start somewhere, and we need to have something that was so unique that we can get like a lot of interest really early.
Yes. You know, we sat down previously with Bonnie Clearwater, who was, I mean, she's an amazing catalyst as well, as Joshua Miller too. And where did your passion for art come from?
So I'm an artist myself. Many people don't know because I guess most of my time is spent on the marketing side. But I went to art school, and but I didn't want to live the struggling artist life, right? So I got into advertising and marketing, and I've been in that industry for about 20 years, working for a number of different verticals, from upscale real estate and resorts to entertainment venues to shopping centers to startups. So I've kind of worked in multiple verticals, and then worked in different areas, whether it's PR or event planning or marketing or design. So I kind of like brought a lot of those things to the table, but through the years, I've always been very interested in finding platforms for artists to be able to exhibit and for artists to be able to have like a full-time life. I guess that's my ultimate dream for me to just, I'll paint the rest of my life. But like for you to be able to enjoy the things that you want to enjoy, it's really difficult. So, you know, with all of the positions I've had over the years, whether it's shopping centers or otherwise, I've always integrated the arts in there. You know, I opened up a commission-free art gallery at Westwood Broad Mall, and worked.
I remember learning about that.
Yeah,
That was great.
and we worked with Westfield on some other projects as well, where the arts were involved. So, you know, getting the arts into like a bigger platform for artists to be able to showcase was a major thing for us, and that was a major catalyst for us trying to create this.
And so you said 23 years ago you came to Fort Lauderdale?
Correct.
So where were you before that?
I was in Trinidad. So I am from Trinidad.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And why Fort Lauderdale? Well,
Because
how
there
did
was
you
sun.
Well, there's other places in South Florida. I'm curious. How you?
Well, so I went to college at the International Fine Arts College in Miami.
Okay.
That college no longer exists, but now it's like it's called Miami International University of Art and Design. But initially it was just this private art college that I went to over here, and it was in Miami. And I chose Miami and South Florida because of the weather, and the college was there too, right? So that was a big thing for me because I'm not a big fan of the cold. So this is a perfect environment coming out from Trinidad. There you go. Exactly. Exactly.
So you mentioned, so tell us about Unite Us.
Okay.
Is that, you still have this?
Yeah.
company?
So yes, I opened up Unite Us Group after I left the shopping center business, and to open up a consultancy for various brands and entities, a lot of concentration in the shopping real estate market, and working with retailers and stuff like that, and also to produce all these things that we do from the art standpoint, and all the events that we produce. It's all in the Unite Us Group, in addition to Choose 954.
Well, and I think that it almost was perfect that you had this PR and marketing background to be able to pull off such a huge event that you have coming up.
Yeah, so that's really been honestly, like, I think one of our biggest advantages, because I had experience in PR and event curation, and creating partnerships and sponsorships, and also my interest in the arts as well. We were kind of able to save a lot of dollars,
right.
Because we didn't have to hire a PR firm,
yes.
or we didn't have to hire designers to design things. So, realistically, coordinating this whole fair, it's myself, Evan, and my wife, and that's it. It's a 3-person team, kind of like, logistics and putting all the homes and getting everything together. So it's a really, really tight, well-oiled machine, but, we really take advantages of, certainly the experiences that we all have individually, and then also the passion for the event, and just kind of the art that we have as well.
And bridging your relationships that you've created.
Correct.
Which is,
Correct.
key.
Yes. Yes.
So, in terms of the art fair on the water, as well as, I know that I've read that today actually marks the first Design Fort Lauderdale Week. Can you
Correct.
tell us about
Correct.
that launch?
Sure.
A little bit more?
So after running Art for Lauderdale for about 3 years, just based on the nature of the event, we really had a capacity of about 3,000 people that we could realistically kind of run through, and have come through the fair and go into these homes. We really can't get much bigger than that because it would just be not very manageable.
Right.
So we felt that there was a big part of the community that was really missing on this really interesting arts and all these things that we're doing. So we decided to launch a week which really kind of like highlights all of the wonderful things that are already going on in Fort Lauderdale, in addition to encouraging other entities to launch their new events. So one of those entities is the American Institute of Architects, the AIA.
Yeah.
They're launching their first annual architectural fair this week as well.
Great.
And so the idea is, so now within this week, now you have this architectural fair that's going to launch with speakers and workshops and all that stuff.
This
so
week.
Correct.
Well,
so that's launches this week, and those have a bunch of components there too. And then you have the Sistrunk Fair, which is being run by Al Huggins and Emmanuel George, and they're actually doing a whole series of events in the Sistrunk area in Fort Lauderdale. So with that, now we have these two satellite events that are all launching this week. They're all partners of ours or involved in some way with Art for Lauderdale over the years, and we kind of encourage them to kind of go off and launch their own things, and we've been kind of helping them kind of maneuver, kind of like creating a fair, but they've all kind of gone off on their own and creating some great things.
That's great. And in addition to them, what other collaborators or sponsors are being involved in this week-long affair?
So in addition to them, we have a series of, we call it the Art Discourse Series, which is part of Art for Lauderdale that we've extended to the community as part of the week. So initially, we always host a series of talks at the venues that we do the boarding from. So this venue is Pier 66. So we have a series of talks going on from Tuesday through till Saturday at Pier 66. But we also have some talks at NSU Art Museum, Museum of Discovery and Science, the Stonewall Museum and Archives. And we're also sponsoring the talks at the Architectural Fair. One is with Lawrence Scarpa, who's a really popular architect. And another one is Van Monroe, which is part of the Sistrunk Fair. I think it's at the Midtown Complex in Sistrunk. And he's a really popular sneaker artist that's designed sneakers for Spike Lee and a number of different people. So we're expanding the Art Discourse Series to include speaking engagements at all of these satellite events. And in addition to that, we have Art and Dine Lauderdale that has a prefix menu at select locations and select restaurants for the entire week. So all people need to do is, they can go to the NSU Museum, listen to the talk, tour the museum, go grab dinner at a prefix price, and be able to kind of like really plan out an entire day or an entire week, depending on what they want. So the idea is to really kind of like start with all of these different things to do, and then be able to give people a highlight of all the wonderful things that happen, because a lot of times people just don't know what we have going on.
And that's exactly why I decided to do Currently.
Yeah.
Because I live here, I love living here. There are so many influencers like yourself who, if you just look on the events that are happening, there's just so much that's going on and so much that's coming. So I really thank you for being able to bring this alive, because where we live, it's incredible.
Absolutely.
So technology is always a point I like to bring in on my interviews. That's the future. So I think I stumbled upon a press release that talks about AI, if I'm not mistaken. How are you bringing technology into this week-long affair?
Several months ago, I read an article, I believe it was in Forbes or Time, and both probably, with a Paris collective called Obvious. And so it's 3 guys out of Paris, and they created one of the world's first AI-generated art pieces. So essentially, the art piece was designed and built and created by computer and code. And the computer just basically came up with the piece based on inputs of faces and different things that they put in there, and it just kind of created its own art piece. So in October, so we were talking to them probably around August when that first came out, and Christie's was going to auction that piece off in October. So it's the first time Christie's in New York. And that's the first time Christie's has ever auctioned an AI generated piece. So the piece was originally listed at that time for like $10,000, and they eventually sold it in October for $450,000.
Wow.
So incredible for them. incredible piece that's been getting a lot of press, both on the tech side and on the art side. And we had reached out to them before. We said, hey, we'd love you guys to come down. We'd love you guys to come talk about AI and art and how that works out. They said yes, and they're amazing guys. And so we're flying them in. They're coming in on the Friday and they're leaving on Sunday. They're going to have a talk at NSU on Sunday evening. I think it's about 2:30 on the 27th of January.
Okay.
And we're also doing a brunch with them at Boatyard on Sunday as well at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And they're going to actually have 3 pieces that nobody in the world has seen yet.
Wow.
They came in a crate and we put them up. And so we have 3 of these pieces available for sale at the fair. And again, nobody see them.
So exclusive.
And they're also like the last 3 pieces that they're going to do in this series of portraits. So certainly a great opportunity to be able to have that integrated in there. And then we also have an artist called Vesa Kivinen, and he is out of London, and he's really big in the Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and art world, where entities are starting to purchase art and all that stuff with Bitcoin and crypto. So he's going to have a talk over at Museum of Discovery and Science at I believe it's 10 o'clock. And you can find out all the information for the Art Discourse series at ftladw.com.
Okay.
And everything for that week is on there.
And what I love about, when I sat down with Bonnie, we were talking about doing the district. I love we have the Bright Line train now, so if someone's coming from West Palm or Miami, it's walking distance, they can go to Discovery of Museum or the NSU. So that's really exciting. I'm definitely going to check that one out.
Yeah.
So I know that this has been a passion project, so to say.
Sure.
Because you had a comfortable salary position prior.
Yeah.
And you decided to make that move. What was it that you finally said, you know what, I'm going to do this? And
well, life is a very short thing, and you have that bucket list of things that you want to do, and you kind of see life passing by, and you've accomplished a lot of things you wanted to accomplish, and it was kind of like if not now, when?
Right.
And it's always like a when conversation. And Evan, my partner, Evan reminded me a lot of me like 10 years ago when I was really involved and I kind of got burnt out, just kind of like doing different things. And like he's like super passionate, and like so he kind of like reignited my interest in trying to kind of do things. And then I was kind of like at that time like financially able to say, well, I'm going to do a fair. I don't really need a bunch of people to kind of like help me launch it.
Right.
I can just launch it by myself. I can do what I feel it should look like. And I was just at a time where I can do that kind of stuff.
So where do you look or seek inspiration for your day-to-day and what you're creating on a regular basis?
So I mean, I get inspired by just people and travel. I said we do a fair amount of travel, and for me, like going to different cities and exploring like the places that the locals go to really give you a great insight into just the creativity of different places. And it also gives you this diverse perspective of what people like, what people enjoy. And also Fort Lauderdale's got like so many things to take in, but we don't really highlight as much as we probably could. So, the water, you go down to an event, whether it's a musician, whether it's an artist, we do live painting at YOLO. I mean, I'm inspired by food and restaurants and how restaurants put out food and the kind of food that they produce. And also Instagram has been a great place to discover artists. That's been a great thing for us. And we subscribe to a series of newsletters, whether it's Artsy or Blow in Art, and just really kind of like getting the pulse of what happens in the art community. But fortunately for me, I have like a great group of a really diverse set of creative people. So people in architecture, people in the arts, people in music, so every artistic genre, I guess, I have relationships there. So being able to engage with those people in different times certainly kind of like helps me kind of like create different things myself.
And marketing plays a huge role in what I do. So where do you find the largest medium to reach, individuals in terms of advertising and marketing?
Well, I mean, I guess it all depends on the individual that you're trying to reach, right? I mean, like TV is still a major mass media kind of entity or medium, But Instagram's been incredible. I mean, I think a lot of realtors are using Instagram more than even print ads right now, right? So you're able to kind of reach that customer, and so Instagram has been a really, really important person for marketing. But you also want to create, in whatever you're creating or shooting, you want to be able to display that experience, or you want to be able to create this kind of sense of discovery in whatever you're doing, whatever you're communicating. So I think that's really very important as well.
What would be your advice to somebody that was kind of in your that wasn't sure if they should do it, make that move? 'Cause I feel like I come across so many people that they're just so close to making an incredible, event, or creating something very magical, but they just don't have someone to really
No,
push them.
I mean, I say it's just do it. I mean, that's kind of how the things happen, even with Evan and Choose 954. It was a conversation of something that we wanted to launch. And once you have a really solid idea, I mean, I think everybody really needs is encouragement.
Yeah.
And the more people you have encouraging somebody to do anything, it's going to help them push forward. And so, certainly, like, if you have an idea and there's something you want to do, just do it. I mean, like, life is super, super short.
Yeah.
And the time frame to accomplish the things that you want to do is really, really small. So as you see time passes by, and the younger you are, certainly the better, because you could afford to fail a little bit when you're younger. But as you get older, it's a little bit different. So I always encourage people to really follow their passions and kind of go through it, and try to surround yourself with people that would encourage you to kind of go after your goals.
And put yourself out there. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I think it's amazing that you met Evan at the Tower Club during an event.
Yeah.
You're involved in a ton of organizations. I mean, we could go down them, but what would you recommend for someone who's moving here for the first time, or maybe they're just relocating from Miami, they want to be involved? What are 3 organizations you would recommend?
Well, I mean, I guess to some extent it already depends on what their particular passions and focuses are. I mean, I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce, which is great for the business community. They're a really incredible chamber that covers a really big cross section of the Broward County area. I think NSU's got some great programs for both young people and a senior group of people as well. So I definitely think those programs are great too. I'm president of the Advertising Federation of Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach. So if anybody's interested in the advertising marketing world, that's a great organization to be a member of as well.
And when you're not conquering, the events and organizations you're involved in, tell me what your perfect weekend would be. Just tell me what you.
At a restaurant, eating. Myself and my wife are big foodies, and we're also big beer drinkers. So anything between food and beer is certainly things that we're really, really interested in, and that's what we do when we travel too. Is just trying to find new food spots and new breweries to try.
What are some of the new spots you've discovered lately?
In Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah.
Well, I have lots of favorites, but 3030 Ocean is an incredible restaurant. Valentino's and One Door East, another set of great restaurants. Temple Street Eatery, that's a great spot. Kubo, which is right down on 17th, a little spot, amazing.
I've been there.
There you go. So there you go. And there's another one called Candela, which is on 7th, right off of Oakland. Another hole-in-the-wall, incredible restaurant. I mean, I could go on with my favorite restaurants, but I mean, those guys there, and anything that Be Nice group does.
Yes.
So Foxy Brown Dog Eatery, and then there's a new poke place in Mass District called Poke Lolo, and they have poke and cones, which is really, really interesting, and it's not really available anywhere else here. So, yeah, so they just opened up recently, so that's also another good spot that I've been checking out.
So I know that, and I'm so thankful that you took the time, because I know you have a lot to plan. But, I close my eyes, 10 years from now, where do you envision this event or Fort Lauderdale? What would be your wish?
So, I mean, I have many wishes, but our Fort Lauderdale, we're certainly trying to evolve into a very, very curated, kind of exclusive kind of experience. Kind of going along with just the evolution of the city. You have places like Auberge opening up, and the Four Seasons opening up soon.
Yes.
So we have a new kind of person moving to the city, and you have 20,000 units happening downtown, and a lot of those people are going to be people moving in, looking for this kind of cultural environment that they want to enjoy, right? And that's
they've had.
Correct. In other cities like Nashville and Austin and New York and San Francisco and all these places. So, creating this kind of like really thriving cultural community is going to help to attract and retain these people in our city. And from a big picture standpoint, we'd really like to have a really robust art week, very similar to like Miami Art Week.
Right.
I'd love to have multiple satellite fairs happening in Fort Lauderdale at the same time. We've kind of like worked on having 2 of them. We have a kind of 5-year plan of doing outdoor art performances and art exhibits as part of the week as well, and expanding our art discourse series into being a much larger series of talks with many, many more international art critics and talks and all that stuff as well.
Well, this is actually going to be my first year participating.
Awesome.
I can't wait. So I will see you on Wednesday.
Yes.
And where can we find the tickets for those who are watching? Because we can still get tickets.
Yes. So. If you go to artftlauderdale.com, you can get all the tickets there for Art for Lauderdale. And if you want to find out more about the things that are going on during Fort Lauderdale Art and Design Week, it's ftladw.com.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.